You're listening to episode 3 of Discover Stories on Reimagined Radio. My name is Bryden Vino and I'm the program assistant with the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. Today, I'll be talking with Maureen DeLandreville, chair of the Disability Foundation's Board of Directors. Thank you, Maureen, for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm delighted to have been invited.
Yeah, so let's get started with the first question here. I was just wondering, could you quickly share a bit about yourself first and just what you do at the Disability Foundation?
Well, at the Disability Foundation, Peter Jefferson and Dwayne Geddes first invited me to be on the board in 2009, and I was delighted to join an organization whose vision and mission I'm aligned with, and an organization that provides so many programs and opportunities for people with disabilities. So that was a good start. And it's worked up until in May 2020, I was named chair of the board, which was a great honor.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have you in this position.
Thank you.
So great.
About myself, I'm from Saskatchewan. Like a large proportion of people live all over Canada, particularly in BC. I grew up on a farm, and I think that those 10 years of living on a farm, they create qualities in people of resourcefulness and closeness to nature, things like that. So that was a big impact for me. I have 4 children. That's another big impact. And I broke my neck in 1992, which at the time was devastating, but in the long term, I can actually say I'm pleased that I broke my neck, because it's opened up the world. The people that I've met, Bryden, through this, it's so much broader, so much encompassing of a far wider part of the population than otherwise would have been possible, I think.
That's an amazing insight to have. It's, I think it's rare in the community to capture that.
Well, I wouldn't expect that it is, but you know, when you are in a field of business or life, you sort of have a network of contacts. Well, you do, and it's limited often by that your positions you are in life. Whereas with this, when you're in the disability community of people with disabilities, anybody can have a spinal cord injury. You could be. I have a friend who recently passed who was a neuropsychologist. I have other friends who are on, supported by the ministry. They're perfectly intelligent and capable, but there's just that huge range, and that's what I think has made my life richer.
Sources, education. And it's progressed over time, obviously, since when you were younger to now. Just advocacy and accessibility in general has gotten better. Kind of wondering, before your injury, what was the state of accessibility then? And then when you got your injury, how was that transition? And then maybe, how do you see it now? How has it evolved?
Well, I don't know what it was like before I was injured, because it's like so many people, unless you experience it yourself or you have someone in your life who has, it's not something people are generally aware of. Now, I do think that's changed already, because there's an attempt to make this world more inclusive, but there's many that don't buy into that. So I don't know what it was like before, but I've seen a lot of changes in the last 29 years. For one thing, I'll remember when early on, I was at that point in a manual wheelchair. I couldn't push it myself, so I was always with someone. And I was at a store to buy socks, and the clerk, I was talking to the clerk, telling what I wanted, and the clerk addressed the person with me and asked something. And I said, "I'm the person buying these stockings, not her." I mean, I wasn't seen as somebody that you would talk directly to. It was just shattering.
And just because of the wheelchair. That's the only difference, right?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was shocking.
Yeah, it's
But that I only experienced that once ever. And
mhm.
as time goes by, it's gotten better and better, not just physical accessibility to buildings and locations, though that's still
Has a long way to go. Yeah.
needs improvement.
Yeah.
But with regards to being seen as a person, not as a wheelchair occupier.
Right. And that actually plays into the Disability Foundation's mission statement. I was wondering if you could just share with us what that is.
I certainly will. The vision is the Disability Foundation empowers and inspires people with physical disabilities to reimagine what is possible. And I think the key there is to reimagine what is possible. And our mission is, through our societies, we provide opportunities for people with physical disabilities to enable their individual journeys. And both of those I'm closely aligned and very honored and pleased to be involved with an organization like that, to be able to contribute to something like that.
Yeah, and we've even taken the Reimagine What's Possible and turned it into Reimagined Radio for VAMS and all of our podcasts. So it's definitely inspired many projects and many people to do things that most people with disabilities don't have that instant access to,
Yeah. We're very lucky here.
Yeah.
I think certainly of all in Canada, the place I would best want to be here for those kind of what's available. Not to say it's not available elsewhere, but we do have, GF Strong, which is definitely up there in Canada, and all of the various services. And, we've got the ocean, we've got the mountains.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of really good things.
Yeah. When I was speaking with Eric Mullendijk for this podcast, actually, when he lived up north, when he was young, the goal was always to come to Vancouver because that's where most of the accessible anything is really in BC. So not, again, like you said, not to say there isn't anywhere else. And we're trying to expand that with Reimagine Radio and the different programs. So hopefully we can just keep expanding and get that culture of accessibility out across the entire country.
We're going to do that. That's one thing. I'm inspired to what has happened and feel strongly and believe we are going to be able to expand substantially so that it include far more people with disabilities. So go for it, Brian.
Yeah. So you mentioned the ocean and the mountains, obviously a big part of why we want to live in Vancouver. Specifically the ocean, though. You got started with the Disability Foundation through DSA.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. So what was that all like? Your first sail, getting involved?
Well, think about this. So I'm on a boat, a sailboat, and I'm in English Bay, and it's a gorgeous sunny day with just the right amount of wind. There are all kinds of freighters in the bay, and there's a gorgeous view of the mountains with their snow caps, of the city. I just thought, how lucky I am. How many people would love to have this experience? And of the people in the world, how many ever would? Well, I'm in the minute number of people for whom that's available. So it was just breathtakingly beautiful and inspirationally, what was an inspiration. Yeah. And then I always had it. I was always having somebody do the sailing. I quite like to just be the passenger. I sailed before I was injured, and even then I could
scary,
do the sailing, but I like to be the passenger. I'm more interested in that. But anyway, it was out there on the water, and yeah, it was absolutely fabulous.
Well, it's incredible because it's something that especially able-bodied people take for granted, the ability to go out and do stuff like that. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of people, I mean, nowadays we kind of have to be pent up in our houses, but, you know, stay home and don't get to have those experiences. Whereas,
exactly.
you know, the opportunities are out there. So it's great that, you know, you're still able to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, get out and do that.
And
Um,
I really have to give a huge mention of Sam Sullivan, because it was
mhm,
his imagination, his uh, belief that these things were possible, and it was just a matter of finding the ways to make it possible.
right.
And that dream has led to improving the lives of countless thousands of people, I'm sure.
Yeah. I actually had a chat with him recently for a podcast as well. And um, he just made a really good point about, um, you know, having a disability, it can put you at such an all-time low, um, but it can
Yes.
also inspire you to go further than you ever could have gone before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you, case in point, where you've actually turned your injury into something that's actually, you know, made you a better person overall, which it's commendable to me. I can't even
Well,
fathom it.
I'll tell you something else
Yeah,
rather funny. When I was injured, I had high blood pressure,
right.
migraines, and ulcers, and all three of them were cured by breaking my nails.
No way.
It might be a bit drastic,
Yeah.
but it is a
Yeah,
solution
I
to some
wouldn't suggest that as a solution, but
problems.
yeah,
Most people wouldn't,
yeah,
but it's a side benefit.
yeah. Um, so another kind of question, just to go along with that almost, what would be like a piece of advice you have for people with disabilities that, I mean, especially people that are struggling to, you know, find programs or find that outlet for their passions in life?
I'm sorry, excuse me a minute,
Yeah,
okay?
it's all good. No worries.
So is this a question that was on
No,
there?
I just thought of this.
Oh,
Just,
it's okay.
yeah.
Okay, so ask it again. I
Yeah.
forgot. I was too busy trying to find where it
Oh
was.
yeah, no worries. Okay, so here, let me back up. Um, okay, so many people have troubles. I mean, many people with disabilities have trouble um, finding an outlet for a passion or a hobby, finding programs around the city. And obviously, more so now, we have more programs with Disability Foundation. But what advice would you have to people with disabilities, you know, trying to make that jump into, you know, really living their lives?
Yes, I really want to be careful,
Hmm.
right, about, I've talked about these things to countless numbers of people and
Right.
many with disabilities. And nobody else, despite how well they have managed within their disability, nobody else has ever been grateful. And I don't think that's something one necessarily should aspire to.
Hmm.
That just unfolded for me, and it has to do with who I was before and who I am now.
Right.
So I I I think I don't know how to answer that, other than because you could say get online and look into some of these things, but I think programs like this podcast, every time something is on the radio or the television about uh, disabilities, just follow up on those, because I think what it is when you first injured, and I'm again, my experience, it was, I wanted to die. I
Mm.
wanted to die so badly. And you have to get sort of through that. Now, some people do it more quickly than others. But once you get through that, and it is finding something like the sailing that begin to realize that all of the lifestyle to which you were used to and loved wasn't available. Well, it is available, much of it. And so I think I can't think of anything other than just being aware of and following up on, wherever possible, any any information that comes your way with regards to activities. And they don't have to be physical act. I mean, they can be writing a book. They can be singing. Yeah. They can, there's all kinds of things that don't have to, if no matter how mobile or immobile you are. So.
I think you answered that beautifully.
Okay.
I know you were a little apprehensive, but I think there's something really great to take away from that.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners just about the foundation or the programs or yourself even?
Well, with regards to the Disability Foundation, it's the societies, our affiliated societies that offer the programs. We're just sort of
parent organization.
We are seven, sort of. But
yeah.
Anyway,
sort of. Yeah.
Seven different organizations. Yeah. We're all separate, but the affiliated society, like VAMS, which is the adapted music one, like BC Moss, which offers hiking, kayaking,
paddling,
yeah, and probably some other things.
They go swimming sometimes on hikes.
Pardon?
They even go swimming sometimes on a hike.
Oh, yeah, okay.
If they find a good spot.
Get in the ocean anyway.
Yeah.
Tetra, which is amazing organization. The numbers of people that have been helped with solutions that are not on the market, whether it be a piece of equipment that needs a slight adaptation. One fellow, I get very dry eyes, especially in the summer. And he created this thing for me that I can wheel back under this mechanism, and I have a remote in my hand, and if I lay back and put my eyes under them, I can give myself eye drops.
That's amazing. My gosh.
So from the full gamut, I had help when I was using a scooter on the back of my car. The way it was attached, I couldn't manage, and somebody adapted that. So it's the full gamut from things that are fairly simple to things that are very complex.
Right.
So that's the things that Tetra offers.
And then, of course, Diga.
Yeah. The gardening society. It's turned me on to gardening again. It's lovely, and for everybody that's able to have their plots and get outside and reap the benefits in these wonderful fresh produce.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Connectra, brings together people and community resources with everything from entrepreneurial training and opportunities created, finding jobs, all kinds of things like that. Yeah, that's right. So that's all of them.
Yeah.
Great.
So many different opportunities. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Thank you for doing this podcast. Anything that can make, this is the kind of thing that people hopefully will find and will learn a little bit more about what is available out there.
Thanks for tuning in to Discover Stories on Reimagine Radio. Tune in next week for more.